Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining in for the session on goals achieving. Great. So let me start the session with a small quote, which was said by a past president and our rocket man from India. Dream is not what which you will see while you sleep, something that does not let you sleep. Right? A very powerful quote, a very powerful statement made by Dr. Abdul Kalam to just convey a very simple thing on just figure out what matters in life. The ideal dreaming, the hopeful future that we are all thinking about, that's in the dreams that we sleep, dreams which we see when we are sleeping. But what really matters is those dreams, desires, the things that we want that keep us awake. And that is what we are constantly working towards to achieve them, right? The corporate world has this term called goal setting, which comes up every year. Sometimes some organizations have it every 6 months, and they talk a lot about it. And that's why that term stuck, and everybody is pretty familiar with that. They understand the goal setting process. They know what SMART goals are, the SMART. They have been taught about it. They have been trained on it. Their managers are enforcing them to think in those terms, and great goals are set. And then 1 year later, the goals are reviewed. Some organizations, a couple of years ago or a decade back, started to think, okay, a year is probably too late to review them. Let's do it every 6 months. Some started doing it even quarterly. But that's about it. And then again, of course, it's a guideline how many managers actually sit with their teams to review on a quarterly basis or a half yearly basis the goals they had set and how they are doing on it. It's a different story altogether. Quite often it is left to the individual to be driven from inside, from self, to achieve the goals. After all, in the corporate world, the goals are the achievement of the goals is tied to the salary increments and promotion. So yeah, people should be self-driven. But we know, like self-driven cars, that area is still a problem area. It's developing, it's growing, people are getting better at it, but there are still some issues. So we are going to talk about the journey after the goal setting. Very briefly, we'll cover the goal setting just to hygiene for hygiene matter, what goal setting is and other things. We are not going to focus too much on the SMART goals. We'll go beyond that. And how do we actually take that journey around? Okay. Just one request. All of you are almost stationary. Of course, you're paying attention and all, but sometimes when the connectivity goes off, I wouldn't even know if you are there or not. So some movement at some point in time will help me to know that okay, things are moving, so the connectivity is still there. Past I don't know, a couple of months, the connectivity, I don't know, in UAE sometimes, in India, it's a bit of a challenge, and people keep getting dropped off. And while Zoom holds on to the video image, but it's all paused and no sound is traveling. Okay, great. Rashmi, are you there? We are still not seeing you, so I'm just hoping you are at least listening to what I'm saying. Okay, so talking about dreams, talking about what matters, let's jump into our subject matter today. And that's going to be about goals and their achievement. Okay, so first things first, why the workshop? And we ever talked about it that goal setting has become a norm, but not goal achieving. People are not actively having a conversation about achieving the goals. And that's where I felt that there was a need to work on that part of it, right? And also about taking certain steps today so that you in your mind are making yourself accountable for your goals, right? During the workshop, what we will do is while you may have a very long list of goals for yourself, which could range from 5 to 50, we'll pick one goal. Your choice, pick whichever goal you want, and you actively work through that goal, at least high level. You start putting down a structure to it, and then beyond the workshop, you can expand it and convert it into a full-fledged program, a project that you will execute over the next few months and achieve it, right? So that's going to be the focus for today's workshop. Also, while we talk about goal setting, a very corporatish term, I cover under that your dreams, your desires, things that you want, goals, your vision in life, whatever you may want to cover under this wide umbrella of goals, bring it under it. When I am saying you may have goals ranging from 5 to 50, what I mean is all of that. It is about personal goals. It is also about your professional goals. Pick anything. You may want to achieve anything at work. You may want to achieve anything in your personal life. You may want to write a book which you have been postponing for quite some time. Make that your goal that you will work on today and create a plan for it and how you will go about achieving it. You may wanted to, you probably wanted to learn a new language, develop a new hobby, something you were interested in, which was always taking a back seat. Or you could pick up very well a goal that you have at work and start working towards. Okay, so we'll take one and you will explore that. And then, of course, you can, once you've gone through the process, you know the process, apply the same process to other goals, the very important goals that you would want to work on and spend considerable time and effort achieving them. Okay, so that's about the goal, right? Now, the goal setting process, the goal achieving process. One of the first and the most important things that you need to figure out along with your goal is your why. Why that goal? Why is it important to achieve that goal? Okay, so we are going to start working now on our goal achieving, goal setting exercise. So in your mind, pick a goal that you can work on today, that you will be working on today. And it will be great if you can share that goal also, because as we work through it, we will like what are you thinking about that goal and what steps you have in mind. So it will be great if it's a goal you can share and talk about. So Roji, you want to share which goal you want to pick up for the exercise today?
Yeah. Am I audible enough?
Absolutely perfect.
Actually, basically, Hemant, I'm a legal professional, but then in 2011, I took a sabbatical and I've been confined to working from home from closest contacts and all. It is not a formal job as such. But from 2011 to 2022, my life experience have tempted me to become a motivational speaker as such. So that's the very reason I joined
Right.
Toastmasters last year. But I still haven't I'm picking up confidence with respect to public speaking as well as developing leadership skills. But how to take it forward, how to approach the public is a big question in front of me. Why motivational speaking? Because I would like to help people who are trapped, especially the women and kids, to have a vision at a very young stage so that they have an ambition and they have a drive for their life without when you're spoon fed everything due to whatever reason from the family, maybe you're the only child or maybe for some other reasons, you have the way of taking things for granted and just going as life comes across. But I think if you have a structure, if you have a vision for yourself at a very young stage, life would be easier, much easier. So for me, I think I just developed my vision board a few years back, but I do not know how to take it forward. But for the very reason I had joined Toastmasters. So that is there.
Great.
But how do I come to the public as such?
Sure. So we come to that. So the goal that you're going to work on today for the purpose of this workshop, is it going to be become a public speaker? Because that seems very vague, because if you're joining Toastmasters, you already started speaking. In a way, you have started on that journey. So you need to have a very specific goal in your mind. The SMART, the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic,
Yeah,
and
to
time
be
bound.
specific, I would say to become a motivational speaker as such, confining to especially to women and children, school, I mean, your students as such.
Okay, okay. Let's start from there. We will develop it further and grow it further. So, becoming a motivational speaker with a target audience of children and women in mind, that's your goal that you will be working on today. Great. Rishto, am I saying your name right, Rishto?
Yeah, you are saying my name perfectly right, no problem. So my goal is to write a book, and I've written a small booklet a couple of years ago. Well, might be 4 years ago actually already. And I started this project a few weeks ago, and I have something to show you here. I guess it can be seen here. So here is the structure, and the book is the working name is Career Coaching: 8 Steps to Tackle Career Transition, and it has 8 chapters: establishing context, reviewing current state, understanding change, and so forth. And that is a little bit tricky one, because I'm quite eager to start something, but I have the problem because of my background. We can talk about it later maybe, but things just slip away from my hands. So how to keep the momentum all over the project, that is one of the most interesting questions for me now. But as said, the why for this is that I have been doing counseling, coaching, teaching for more than 40 years. So I'm probably much older than any one of you, because I'm already 67 years old. And there is the why is about leaving a legacy, kind of legacy to younger generations. And I think with all this experience, I really have something to share for people. So that's the why, to create something that goes past generations or over generational legacy. That's it. Thank you, Sir Roji.
Fantastic, fantastic. Great, great. In some way, Roji did it, and you did it pretty nicely. The goal as well as the why behind it, and that's very important, because the why is your key driver. The why is the space from where your motivation will come from, your drive will come from. The one of the troubles with the corporate goals is they're actually somebody else's goals which are given to you.
Correct.
The drive to achieve them comes in if you begin to identify with their goals as your career. If you're saying, if you think of them as, oh, my career is at stake, or by achieving these goals I will build credibility and my career will take off, and so on and so forth, that's when you begin to make those goals your goals. Otherwise, pretty much they are organizational goals which have been cascaded right from the CEO to your manager, and the manager has cascaded part of his goals to his entire team, and you got a part of it. So that emotional connect doesn't come in, and that emotional connect is very important. So when I conduct those coaching sessions for my clients and I'm talking about goal setting and goal achieving, I talk a lot about smarter goals as compared to smart goals. Like smart goals, everybody know the SMART, pretty basic standard, everybody knows. Now add that ER at the end, which is the emotional resonance. How well do you resonate with those goals emotionally? Are you attached to those goals? Do you feel for those goals? Are you passionate about those goals? Because once that comes in, that's when the motivation and drive will also come, which will not easily fizzle out. Otherwise, the goal setting exercise is done, you're all charged up, and 1 week later, the charge begins to go down. And depending on how motivated the team is, how connected your manager is, the charge may completely go down to 10% or zero within a matter of a few weeks or a few months. Sometimes it doesn't last the entire year unless rekindled and recharged. So great. So we have somebody who wants to become a known, respected, motivational speaker, and we have someone who wants to put the learnings from his life into a book to pass on as a legacy. Great. Shiju, Deepak, and Rashmi. Shiju and Rashmi, who wants to go first to share the goal they will be working on? Deepak, if your mic is not working, then your keyboard has to work. You will have to type out the goal that you are going to work on. And if you are in a state where you can come on video, great. Shiju, Rashmi, moved away from your seat.
Good morning, Coach Hemant and everyone present here. Myself,
Good
Rashmi
morning,
Rathi
Rashmi.
from Mauritius. Yeah, myself from Mauritius. My target is that, like, I want to be make perfect myself to achieve everything in life on time. Like always, my habit to do the work on the deadlines. When deadline is there, I always do. But before, like whenever it comes in my life, I feel no. Before time, I will finish. I will do my work and I will like make a point, but always on deadline I do my work finish. So I want to change this my habit. Last, like when 2022 started, then I made promise myself, but still is not on track. So what I do for that? What's the lectures behind it? Because I'm motivated, no doubt in it.
Humans are deadline driven creatures. We work by deadlines. It is often
Okay,
said that
sir.
if you're given 10 minutes to write a letter, you will do it in 10 minutes. And if you get a day to write the letter, you will still take a day to write the letter. So work will always expand to the amount of time available. So I personally don't have an answer to how do you go about achieving getting work done before time. But even for this workshop today, you will have to pick a specific goal.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
No, but think about it, a specific goal, so that we can continue to, through the workshop, you'll be able to work on that goal. Okay,
Sure, sir.
great. Okay, please know, sir, it's Hemant here. We have the senior most member, Rishto, here, so I get saved by that. No, sir, for me, please. Even for Rishto, I'm sure he will prefer a Rishto rather than a sir. What do you say, Rishto?
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay,
Pardon?
sir.
Okay, great. So we move on. So as I said, the first is your why. So when Rishto was talking about his goal or Roji was talking about her goal, there was this why behind that goal, and it's extremely important because why the goal is there is in its first place, and why is it important to you, right? And there are a couple of ways of thinking about it. What is going to be the impact of achieving that goal in your life? That's the first question you ask. We pretty much always have this thing, and because when we define the goal, we are always thinking that the goal is there for doing something, and quite often it is for other people. So, Roji, you wanted to influence children and women. Rishto, you want to pass on a legacy so that others could learn from your learnings. But why is it important from the perspective that what will it mean for you as an individual? What will be the impact of achieving that goal for you as an individual? That also should be thought about. We often ignore that. Right? A lot of your self motivation and drive will come from that space. What does it mean to me? How will it change my life? You need to think about it. Best case scenario, visualize what it means for you. At the same time, what will happen if you don't achieve it? If you totally fail at that goal, for want of a better word right now, if you were to not achieve it, which could be, let's say, if you were writing the book, it could be you did not complete the book, or you did not go beyond the first chapter. You started writing and then just something, you lost interest, the drive disappeared, and you just did not write the book. Ultimately, it did not get published. Not a single soul outside your head knows what was supposed to be in the book. What would be its impact in your life? if you did not complete the book. So it's both ways. Impact if you achieve, impact if you don't. This contrast is something from where your drive, your motivation can come from. So give it a thought. Rashmi, Siju, Deepak, I haven't heard your goals yet. So if I have a slight idea of what goal you're working on, then it will be easier to have a conversation on them, because we are going to discuss these things. Risto and Roji are now going to share these two aspects: impact on their life by achieving the goal, and impact if they don't achieve the goal.
Yeah, give me
This is how the
a
workshop
minute
is going to be. I don't
think.
have slides to show and those things. It's going to be a conversation.
According to me, like
I will be asking a lot of questions.
yes, if like we don't have
Go on.
any goal and we not working on our goal, then no motivation in our life.
Rashmi, I agree. That's the concept. We've now discussed the concept. We're now talking specifics. So your specific goal, and if you achieve it, how it will impact your life. If you don't achieve it, what will be the impact on your life? So we're not talking generics now. We're talking very specifically about your goal and its impact on your life.
Can I share?
Yes, Roji, go ahead.
Yes, so what I was, as I had done, I'd been a part of the corporate life since 2011, and from 2011, not being a part of corporate life and involving myself in teaching students, and especially with those students who have a fear issue or whose parents are illiterate, it all just happened by accident. And I really started, the interest which I was observing in myself, and the way how it was affecting the kids and how their lives changed by giving that service. It changed me a lot regarding my perspective. Maybe I get a bigger salary or remuneration from the corporate life when compared to this part which I'm doing. So I always felt very fulfilling in the second part where I started serving the children. So I felt that it might be my purpose. So actually, I was never bothered about my life purpose as such. But since I started getting involved with kids and women who wanted motivation, I think I discovered my purpose, and it's very fulfilling. Even though I'm not getting from others' perspective, especially those who are connected to me from my family and near circle, they always raise the remuneration part. So is it always about the remuneration? Yes, a bit of it, but then coming to my what about me and my feeling. So I'm very much thrilled, even if there is no much remuneration coming, it the way that I have transformed others life have always tempted me to go deeper and deeper into this field. So if I stop from there, I've tried that also, trying not to do this for a few while. It is making me sad, emotionally sad, which I never experienced during my corporate life. As you said, Hemant, you are very right. The goals given during the corporate time was from the management. It was not my goals, where I, just for the sake of earning and doing my life, I had to take it from them. But this is my life, this is my goal. So that is the way. So if I don't do it, I will be very sad, definitely. And I don't want to live my life in that state. So this is the impact which I see in myself and others. And I can transform others' life has also helped me evolve.
Great. So I get the sentiment, right?
Yes.
And the passion with which you spoke, the passion comes out. It shows.
Yeah.
Now you need to translate this into one or two sentences, short sentences, right? Something which you can read anytime you wanted, or pretty much every day. Something you could take a small printout and put it somewhere where you see it every day, right? The goal statement and the why behind it, which also includes the impact of achieving and not achieving it. If you can see that every day, visually see that, and not just think about it, it not only becomes real, it's a constant reminder. Okay, so
Hemant,
that's a bit of an exercise.
Can I just interrupt, Hemant? If you can see, this is my vision board. Every day I'm looking at these speakers. Every day it is a part of my life, how they have transformed the life, especially Lisa Nichols, Oprah Winfrey, and all these are my role models. So this has been a part, but nothing is happening. And that's the why behind the people who are connected to me. Why is it not happening?
Yeah, so goal setting was nice. The goal achieving part is what we're working on today.
Okay.
Great. Risto, how about you?
The
Impact of achieving and not achieving.
Yeah, the impact of the book would be, of course, prominence, to be known for something, and that means something for me. It's about a kind of status or being asked for coaching. It's easier to be asked for coaching if you have published something, and as I'm retired already, it doesn't really matter if I don't get it, because I'm not dependent on working anymore. So that's not the issue. But there is a very personal aspect also. I was diagnosed this summer with Parkinson's disease, and that means that my cognitive capacity will decline a little bit over the time. And to be able to write a book means that I'm capable cognitively to do things that I want to do. So this is the most important why for me, is that this keeps me active. My brain's active, and I can still develop some skills like foreign languages and writing a book and everything like that. So I don't see very great meaning if I fail with this target. More or less, I think that okay, I will do, let's say, 4 months this project, and then I review it and make another 4 months and review it and make another 4 months and review it. It could be something like that. But whatever, there is a strong why, and when you started to speak about why, I recalled immediately Simon Sinek. I'm a great fan of Sinek, starting with why, and it's a pretty good book and a pretty good idea in that. So we talk same language, Shannon.
Absolutely. So, you have also the constraints around your goal.
Yeah.
Your recent diagnosis gives you certain constraints to work around, as well as the book writing is a victory over those constraints for you, if I'm understood correctly. So the drive to prove yourself to yourself. It's not about proving yourself to the world. It's about a personal victory over the constraints which have come around you. Right? And it's a pretty strong why. And yes, beyond that, the knowledge and the wisdom you have that needs to be shared with people. So great. So how do we achieve that? We'll come over that, and it's you can actually have a working plan on how do you go about writing your book. How many pages do you have in mind, approximately?
Today, I have 8 chapters and maybe 20-25 pages already, and I take another piece of paper from my window pane here. The structure is made like this, so that each chapter has some parts that let's say about chains. I will talk about chains theories, how to deal with the loss, about mind setting, about goal setting, goal achieving, about adversaries, and so forth. I will talk about work identity, like how to draw yourself a portrait, how to deal with your self-esteem, how to figure out possible selves, and how to do with values, roles, fields of glory, I say, so that work is not the only field where we can achieve things. So when the recession hit Finland in 1990s, very many people made suicide because they lost their job. And there was a sociologist who wrote a book about fields of glory, so that family can be a field of glory, studying or achieving things can be such, and so forth. So I'm pretty clear what I want to write, and reminds me of Umberto Eco, Italian semiotic and writer, who put just about everything from his computer to one book. So these things are mainly already in my computer, but I have to pick them up and work with that. So I'm pretty positive for the result.
Fantastic, fantastic. So the book will happen, definitely. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
As you are talking, yes. So the why and the impact of achieving as well as not achieving. Okay. There's one more aspect, but before that, let me ask again. Shiju, are you there? We want to know the goal you will be working on. Yes, Shiju.
Yes, sir. I'm just with you only. Just right now, I'm not in a position to say about my goal because I'm really interested with your talk that you are delivering, and I'm getting you all the points. But right now, I am unable to figure out because I'm the first time I'm being with you. So
No problem. But Shiju, if you don't have a goal in mind, the whole workshop will be just a good talk that you hear, which you will forget by
yes,
end
sir.
of day
My
tomorrow.
plan is like now I want to have some value to my day, like on a basis yesterday what I am doing yesterday, it should be in a better way of doing things in another day. That means a constant improvement by hearing it or being with you,
Absolutely.
or whether I'm writing, whether I'm talking, whatever it is, I want to have a change in my life. For that, I'm just gathering information. Even in writing also, I do like, even public speaking also. I have got a lot of things, but I want to do one by one. I'm just be with you by one word by one. I'm just keeping in mind. It's great and informative to you, and very logic and very precise and very simple. Don't say that I'm
Okay.
just putting as concrete in front of you, but I have got a lot of things in my mind. Like I sometimes I feel it's too much, so that I can say, but this is the ultimatum. What I'm doing yesterday, it should be 100% good and perfect in the very next day, very another moment. I'm in the run for that only.
Okay. Okay. Great. But try to think of a goal which you can work on today. It will be easier to follow what we are
Correct.
talking
I
about if
understood your
you're
point. I
working
understood
along.
because we have got a target only, one specific target only, one prioritized target only. We can get it to through it easily. Otherwise, I will be conditioned like more distracted in between, having more lot of things, something related to health, something
Absolutely.
related to wealth and all. Because I'm just dwelling in between all these things. I need to point out one, and I will tell you.
Great. Okay. So we'll wait for that. Rashmi, have you picked a goal that you'll be working on?
Yes, sir. Actually, my goal is that one, like earlier I had said that my background is completely from the north and Hindi. But now I had a set a goal to be a good public speaker last year, and I'm on this path already. So for that, I've already joined the Toastmasters since 1 year, and one platform foundation platform is in, like, a name is a Share Every. So I'm working on it also. I've started reading a book, and at home also with my kids I've started speaking in English wherever I'm going. Like, I'm in Mauritius international level. So earlier I used to speak in Hindi with my friends, but now I start completely, and I'm working on my vocabulary as well, and to improve my English, more public speaker. So I'm here with you also in this group, in this session. Like, if really people have good goal, what they do to achieve that, because I also want to start my career next year. I know I'm
Correct.
bit backing already, I'm half on the way. So this is my target, that I can understand all type of accent people talking, how I can improve vocabulary, how I can improve my grammar, and I want to make very impactful my talk. Like people can appreciate like you are talking. We are learning so much vocabulary, and like you understand all concept and giving answer. So I want to be like you. You are my inspiration. Thank you.
Okay, okay, thank you for those words. But we'll come back to your goal. So it's about being an effective public speaker who creates an impact. So the
Not
goal is there.
very, sorry sir, not very big goal, but I've started work on it. Maybe next year in resolution, I will make something big.
How the goal is big or not is a very personal thing. For somebody who goes on stage, looks at the audience and goes completely speechless, and then 1 minute later walks off the stage without saying a single word, for that person, being able to go on stage and speak for 1 minute is a huge goal, right? For somebody who's comfortable speaking on the stage, for them, a huge goal would be, oh, I want to speak in front of a crowd of 50,000 people. So the goals can be different. The size is very, very relative. Okay. So how, and that's where the why of the goal comes in. Why it is important, why it is significant for you. What will be its impact in your life? You mentioned that this working towards the goal has a direct linkage, or you're connecting it to your career taking off once again, or getting it another boost to it. So it's extremely important for you. Not achieving this goal, in your head you have already linked it to your career, so your career either does not take off, does not change its direction, stays where it is, and so on and so forth, right? So that's, and then these things will drive you. Okay, it creates a sort of deadline also for you, right? You can't wait indefinitely to achieve these goals. You really need to put a timeline to it and then accelerate it. As Roji mentioned, as Rashmi, you have also mentioned, you joined Toastmasters to start working on the public speaking part, right?
Yeah.
And you have been there for some time. You need to evaluate how much it has helped and how much it is helping. Because in the beginning, the Toastmasters platform can actually help you significantly in creating that confidence of speaking online, or speaking in front of a crowd. But after some time, you have already been there, done that, and you have. So how much is it helping now? Because if it is not helping significantly, you need to do something more within that platform, or look for other platforms, right? Both ways. Similarly, Rishto, if you have begun writing the book, you as you said, you've got these chapters in mind, the concept is there. Is the first chapter written as the first draft already?
Yeah.
Right. Second?
Not yet.
Not yet. So the
Not.
first is done, second is left, and you have 8 chapters in mind. That's what you
Yes.
said, right? Or there's more, right? So if you look at that, 12.5% of your chapter first draft is already written.
Yeah.
So from a first draft perspective, you have begun. So the initial inertia, you've already jumped over that. A
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
true.
people face their problems in just starting off. Because in their mind, there's an right time, right perspective, right resources. Everything should be correct, and then I'll begin. Or that doesn't happen. So you've actually jumped over that.
Yeah.
Right? You've already begun the journey. Now it's about keeping pace and being consistent.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the
great. Shiju, I'm sure you are also thinking, taking one of your goals and thinking on that. Deepak has shared his goal in the chat. Deepak, you said you want to introduce a line of value-driven headphones which do not compromise on quality. Now that almost looks like an engineering goal. It's like creating a product which can be not only manufactured, but it can also be sold at a great price, which is affordable for many, value-driven. And then, of course, it is not going to compromise on quality. So it's a great goal to have from a engineering or a career perspective. What is going to be its impact on your life if you achieve it, and if you don't achieve it, what's going to be the impact, and why? Why is this such an important goal for you to create a value-driven headphone which does not impact on quality? These three questions, unless you have a very strong response to it, you may find that after some time, you will begin to doubt the goal. You may have self-doubts also, but the goal itself, you will begin to doubt it. Like, is it really a goal worth chasing? So Deepak, if you're still around, since I can't see you. Yes, Deepak has put in it. This is something I wanted to do for the last 20 years. But you had self-doubt. Okay. So in these 20 years, have you worked on it? Have you researched it? Do you have enough information now? Because in the last 20 years, your work life did not support this. This was not part of your work life. Okay, you have researched on the product. Great. So you have some basic information and now you want to achieve this. Great. 20 years is a very long time to have a goal in your mind. So definitely you are very passionate about it because you're still holding on to it after 20 years. So great. I have my answer from the point of view that there is a very strong why, but you really need to articulate the why and think about its impact also. Okay. Because as the journey gets tougher, those responses are the ones which will keep you anchored. Okay, great. So we'll move on from there. The hygiene factor of having SMART goals. Your goal has to be very specific, right? It cannot be vague as to I want to improve myself, because you're constantly improving. It doesn't help much. It has to be measurable. You should know when you are making progress. In case of a book, you know that you have written chapter by chapter by chapter, so you will know when you have made progress. When you complete your 8 chapters, first draft, you know that your book is complete as the first draft. Then you begin the revision, and then again you are going chapter by chapter and then taking chapters together and looking at the whole book together in its entirety. You know when it will finish, so you have a finishing line. You know when this is going to get over. You can measure your progress. Similarly, Roji and Rashmi, you will also have to think of how are you going to measure your success. In terms of public speaking, in the initial stage, it is easy. You know that you haven't had enough experience of talking in front of people. So just going there and making that first appearance and giving your first speech in front of 5 to 10 people or 20 people is the big challenge. And that's a milestone that you cross. Then beyond that, you start getting feedback and you begin to wonder that, okay, there are these areas which I'm of improvement, I'm getting it. So those become your milestones. Then you need to aim for a larger audience. So within Toastmasters and even outside Toastmasters, can you start looking for opportunities of speaking in front of a larger audience? Right? I mean, a couple of years ago, Toastmasters had these annual events at different levels, which could give you an opportunity to speak in front of anywhere in between a 200 to 600 crowd. Right? The larger events, we are used to have a crowd of 600. Even the area division events would have about 200 to 400 people. Now, those were opportunities where you could go on stage and speak in front of those people. So that would have been a milestone that you identify. Now, those are in your mind, you have chalked out a journey and you are having these measurable milestones. As in when you cross them, you know it has happened. Right? Which is why it's important to have those, the SMART goals sets the foundation level, specific, measurable. Achievable is simple. Has somebody else done it? Or you are going to be the first one to do that? Because if you're going to be the first one to do that, it's going to be not only difficult, you will have very little guidance. You don't even know if it's possible, and so on and so forth. So that's the part of it. Achievable, realistic, and finally coming to time bound. You need to have your deadlines in place. Otherwise, it becomes a never ending goal or a goal which expands to the available time. And since you have not defined time, it's your life. You just go on working on it. You join Toastmasters, and year after year, you're just there improving little, rather than having a tight deadline and just running onto it and having something in leaps and bounds. Okay, so the basics should be in place. These SMART goals. There are tons of videos online, a lot of literature online to read and think about, to absorb on how you make your goals SMART. I don't want to cover too much, spend too much time on that. The only thing I will say is that at the end of making your goal smart, you bring down your goal into one sentence. That sentence should be in present tense, not future tense.
Can you
Your
just give
goal,
me, sorry, can you just give me an example of such a tagline?
yes, yeah, sure. Your goal should no longer be, I want to write a book or I want to be a public speaker speaking in front of 500 people. Your goal will then translate to, it's year 2025 and I have spoken in front of a crowd of 500 people. Or it's 2025 and my book is published and it has got great reviews and I'm creating impact.
Yeah.
Add the color and flavor you want to, but it should have all those elements. The entire smartness should come into that one statement as having already achieved it. See, Rosie, you have created that vision board behind you, right?
Yes, yeah.
The thing is, after having that vision board, every time you look at that vision board, you should not be thinking, I will become like them. That single statement should transform into I am like them.
Okay.
Right? It's the Three Idiots thing, all is well, all is well. You
Yes.
keep telling your brain, your heart, your mind, whichever geography, biology you want to refer to, whatever you want to be, you keep telling yourself that you are already there. And you fool your brain into thinking like that and behaving like that. Right?
Okay.
It
Got it.
works in it has its space. All by itself, it's not going to help you achieve your goals because you still have to take action. But it is creating that mindset of reaching there sooner. Okay,
Okay.
great. So smart goals, add your ER to it, the emotional resonance, which is why do you want it and what it's going to be the impact in your life, and then bring it down to one statement which is in present tense or present continuous that you've already achieved that goal and you have created that impact. Right? Because every day you look at that statement, you should feel the feeling that you will get on achieving that goal. Because your mind and body should crave for that feeling. That will become a drive that, oh, I want to get that feeling as soon as possible.
Mm.
Right? And it's your motivation, as I keep saying. Great. So, smart goals, we go ahead from there. Now is the time to make a plan. Right? You need to have a very structured and detailed plan on what you are going to do to achieve that goal. At work, whenever we have projects, we create plans for them. Very few times I've seen people creating plans for their goals. Right? In terms of books, you should have a timeline in mind, right? When you did your smart goals, you had a particular timeline in mind. Risto, what was the timeline you have put yourself for the book? In how much time you want the book to be out? By when?
The original timeline was to finish each chapter in 2 weeks, which is very, very quick. But it is because the material is mostly already done. And of course, there will be distractions. And at this time, it's harvest time, and I live in the countryside. So it's tomatoes, cucumbers, pumpkins, and everything like that. But the timeline is next year, 23.
When? Next
So,
year when?
So to the end of the 23, it should be ready. It may not be published because it's in English and it takes some proofreading and as I'm not native English speaker, as you can hear, so it's a little bit tricky one. But I'm on my way, and let me share a tool that I use. I think in terms of a scale of from 0 to 10, and I think I'm now on 3. and I think myself, okay, what does it take to go to 4? And that's the way I plan. It comes from solution-focused therapy and solution-focused approach. So I would like to share this with Roji because I also know the vision board, and it doesn't work so well as it should, for me at least. So maybe we could talk later via LinkedIn or something, and I'd like to share this solution-focused approach with you. But it's about 2023 now, and something like in the end of March 23, I will be 68 years old, and to have the first draft ready, that at that time it would be perfect, I think.
Okay. Okay, great. So you have the timeline in mind, and
Yeah.
now based on this timeline, you work backwards and create a plan. So
Yeah.
in case of writing the book, 8 chapters. So do you have 8 months till then? No, you have got less time than that. So it's not 1 month per chapter. You will have to reduce it to 3 weeks a chapter, and you need to keep moving, because every time you slip on one chapter, it will have a cascading effect on all the other chapters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you are able to speed up and do the next chapter faster, which can be done, of course. But once you start losing pace, to reach back to the normal pace is a challenge. To speed up and do it faster is even a bigger challenge, right? So that consistency of striking the pace is very, very important, which is where the plan comes into place. So identifying your plan is extremely important. Now, one of the biggest things that you do in creating your plan is identifying milestones. In case of writing the book, of course, the chapters become the milestones. All the chapters leading to the first draft, and then the review of the draft, and being done by yourself and looking at the whole book in its entirety. Because you've written those individual chapters over a period of time. Now they all have to make sense together.
Yeah.
And you can't have loose ends saying something in one chapter and then 4 chapters later you've said the opposite or things like that. So you tie in all the loose ends. Then will come the proofreading. Then, of course, either you self-publish or chase some established publishers and start connecting with them. And then you reach out to them. And then, of course, if you're going out with the traditional publishers, it may have its own timelines in terms of reaching publishing, right? So writing the book and completing it is in your hands. But if it's an external publisher that you're going to chase, publishing it is now dependent, which can have its own timeline, which can be like as short as a few months to a few years. You never know. Like J.K. Rowling was rejected by so many publishers before the books got finally published, and then over the period of time, she became probably the world's first billionaire writer. Right? Who could have imagined? So it's also about what is in your control and what is not. So you can define a plan and then try to stick to it for the things which are in your hand. Okay.
Yeah, I
Coming to
agree. It's about your sphere of influence and the zone of influence. These are things you can influence yourself. These are dependent on you, and then there are things that are out of your control. So yeah, I agree. I am a very structured person. As I showed you, I work with 8 different chapters. In each chapter, I have 4 different things, and maybe some more, but it's based on 8 times 4 or 4 times 8 or whatever. So the milestones are something like mini milestones in between there. So
absolutely,
it's about 2 days that I need to write one part of those 4 mini milestones. So
absolutely.
It helps a lot.
And that's how it's going to be. You have your project plan, which has got its major milestones identified, and then you either go at a mini milestone level or you create tasks for each of those milestones.
Yeah.
Right. It's only once you have the plan that you can execute it.
Yeah.
Without the plan, you're still dreaming at night. With the plan, you're now working on the dream during the day. That's the difference what your plan is going to make.
Yeah.
Right? Having just some fuzzy ideas that this will help and I should do it, you're still somewhere in between. You're just waking up. So, for example, and don't mind the example, Rosie and Rashmi, joining Toastmasters will improve my public speaking skills. It's that in between area. After having joined, actively working towards improving your skills and not just allowing the system to take care of it is where the plan is getting actioned. So I joined Toastmasters and now I wait for the system to work on me. Okay, I'll give my speeches, I'll get some feedback, I'll become a public speaker. Won't happen, or it will not happen at the pace you want it to happen. In your head, you will have to take charge of it. Okay, if by giving speeches, getting evaluations, and giving speeches again and playing different roles, I am going to improve my public speaking skills. Now, how do I achieve it faster? How do I look for opportunities to make it happen faster?
Yes.
Right? Let me give you another perspective on the Toastmasters front. If you're part of a club and you start giving speeches in front of those people, there would be about anywhere in between 5 to 20 people in that club. After a few weeks, you've become friends with them. Speaking in front of them is no longer a challenge,
Yeah, that's correct.
right? You become a better speaker because you're speaking in company of friends. So you will be able to challenge yourself only when you start speaking in front of other people. So you probably need to look for opportunities in other clubs or participate in contests where you've got judges and other role players and a strange crowd in front of you, people you are not familiar with, which will then give you a boost. Look for opportunities beyond the Toastmasters to speak, where probably nobody knows you, where people will not be as supportive as they are when you are speaking in Toastmasters meeting. In Toastmasters meeting people are very nice. You make a mistake and they will put a sandwich and sugarcoat it and give it to you. Outside, people will be blunt. Oh, you were boring. Right? You will have to challenge yourself to go and do that also. Otherwise, you will not be making progress. You will have this fuzzy idea of it's more of having an illusion of progress rather than real progress. Right? So the plan and of course challenging yourself. Okay. So plans, major milestones in the journey, and then planning for each milestone. And again, remember you created SMART goal right at the top. Each of your milestones will also have to be SMART, specific, measurable, realistic, time bound. You need to have time associated with that, right? That's the only way your plan will work. Okay. Also, when you're making the plan, you've got the milestones in place. For each milestone, now you will start thinking of what are the resources I will need. Do I need additional skills? Do I need to do to acquire those additional skills? Right? For your book, Risto, either everything is coming from your own head and your experience, or there might be need to research or find additional material, find some research which has already been done and reference it. Right? For public speaking, there could be the milestones you are setting, find opportunities of speaking beyond, outside. Right? Just yesterday, I sent a message to my kids' school teacher that I am a coach, I've been a trainer, I've been a change management consultant. So I've got this wide variety of knowledge base with me, and I conduct sessions for people. So, in case interested, I could do such sessions for school teachers or senior students in the school. The junior kids, I don't know, I probably can't deal with them. I'm not able to deal with my own children at times. For the senior kids who will listen, probably yes. I could give them a bit of goal setting and achieving, and like bring it down to the studies or the exams context to it. How do you go about studying? For teachers, it could be so many different subjects I could talk about, whether it is goal setting, achieving, or the wheel of life, or taking charge of their own life, and so on and so forth. Now, this opportunity was not there, but this constant thought process of where do I find more opportunities to speak, to let people know that I am doing this kind of work and I would like to share this knowledge. And at this point, I'm not even expecting anything in return. All I'm expecting is an opportunity where I can share. So I sent that note to two of the teachers, both my kids, both teachers. One said, okay, other thing, okay, great, I'll share this with the supervisor. So who said, okay, I said, okay, fine, nothing, no more. I'm not getting anything more out of it. The person who responded saying, okay, I'll share the supervisor. So I said, great, do I need to do anything or you will take care of taking the conversation further? She said, you can also write directly to the supervisor. I said, okay, give me the contact details. I got the contact details. So now I go to the supervisor level. The same conversation could go there and I say, okay, you talk to the vice principal. I will go and talk to vice principal. I'm not losing anything in these conversations. I might actually gain an opportunity. Right? Schools these days are connected. So if I get an opportunity at one school, I could possibly get an opportunity at a few other schools to speak. Basically, I'm looking at speaking opportunities. Right? So I'm working towards that. Now, can you think of all these things and create milestones out of it and then put a plan behind it? What will the plan look like? Identify these. Who are the people I can connect with? What are the tasks? Your task could be as simple as sending a message to this person, following up, right? See, goals are beautiful, fancy, they are a dream. But achieving goals is about these small things which you need to do, which are absolutely not fancy. Picking up the phone and talking to people, reaching out to people. Like you can have a goal of, I want to become the CIO of an organization in the next 5 years. When you boil down to it, my first question to people is, do you know what a CIO does? It's like, yeah, CIO, so Chief Information Officer or Chief IT Officer or whatever. He said, what does he do when he comes to office on a daily basis? What is he doing? When he sits there at his desk in the meetings, what is he doing? I know most people do not have an answer to that question. People who dream about becoming a CIO don't have an answer to that question. I said, find out. So how can I find out? Talk to the CIO. Oh, how can I talk to the CIO? Okay, go ahead, tell your CIO that in future you want to become a CIO of this organization or another organization. Can he mentor you? Can he just share insights with you? He said, why will he do that? I said, ask and find out. Right? What is the big deal about talking to the CIO or the CEO in terms? So I literally forced one of my friends because he had this thing that I want to do this. I said, okay, do this. It was like hesitant. One day during the day, I pinged him. I said, is he there, your CIO, CEO? He said, yes. I said, go and ask for 5 minutes. I said, why? I said, ask for 5 minutes and then ask him that you want 45 minutes of his time to discuss something. And he has got this goal and he wants help in achieving that. He hesitated a lot. I kept pushing him on chat. I made a phone call to him that do it now. I said, just ask for 5 minutes. Your CEO or CXO is not going to refuse 5 minutes of your time, of his time. He went in, he messaged me after 1.5 hours that I just came out of his room. I spent 1.5 hours with him, discussed in detail. He was almost ready to mentor me, but he said that since we are directly working together, there would be conflict of interest. So he's going to recommend another friend of his to mentor him. Just taking that one small step of talking, right? Very bare minimum, not fancy step of talking to someone, asking for help, got him a mentor who's now going to prepare him for his dream. Extremely important. So, Rosie, Rashmi, do you know people who are already established speakers making a difference, can you start talking to them about, I want to be there, can you help me in this journey? What are the things I should do? What is the mindset I should have? Right? How do I reach there? Realistically, how much time I am going to take? Learn from their journey. Risto, do you have a friend or somebody who has already written a book?
I have several. Yeah.
Have you already discussed with them?
Yeah, some part of it, but as I live in the countryside, I'm pretty much isolated today, and it's only via internet that I communicate with people. So, but the point is not that I have friends who have written books, but the point is that I have written myself pretty much. I've made my thesis in education, 200 and something pages. I made my thesis in my MBA studies, something like 180, 200 pages. I've made several booklets. I've made coaching material or teaching material, training materials. So I was actually thinking the question that why do you think that you can achieve this goal? And when I think that why do I think I can achieve this goal is that, okay, I have written already 2 pretty large theses, like PhD works actually, and I have written a booklet, 120 pages or something like that, about these tools. And when I wrote those theses, I used to work so that I woke up 6 o'clock in the morning and started to write 6:30, and took 1.5 hours, 90 minutes to write or research, and then had a morning coffee, and then after the coffee again 90 minutes, and then a little break, talking with my wife and having something to eat, and then again 90 minutes. So it was chunks of 90 minutes work, mostly 4 or 5 such chunks. But when the writing was really fluent and easy, it could be even 6 such chunks a day, which is a huge amount of time on concentrated work. So that's the reason why I think I can achieve this this goal. And whenever we think about those things, this is one of the questions I ask my clients, that, okay, why do you think you can achieve this? What have you done previously that supports your success now? So
Yes. And while you were talking about that, there's one thing which came up, and that's where I was heading to. So thank you for bringing that up. You mentioned that waking up daily at 6 o'clock, 6:30, starting to write in a chunk of
yeah,
90 minutes, and then going on with the day. It's almost a habit formation that you are forcing on yourself to achieve to your goal.
yeah,
So that's beyond the mindset. You will have to bring in a structure. So you brought a structure by way of creating a plan. Now bring structure to your daily life in terms of working towards your goals. Right? If it's work related, you can easily make it a part of your work day. If it's personal, then either early in the morning, late at night, or over weekends, you will have to find time for focused working on it, and that time becomes sacrosanct towards working on that goal.
yeah,
Right? So in terms of creating the project plan, all the activities and milestones you will require to reach the plan, the resources you will need, people whose help you can take, people whose help you will need, and also finally the skill sets that you will need. Now, skill sets you can either develop yourself or you can hire. Public speaking, you will have to develop your own skill set. Right? At a later stage, when you become an established public speaker, you probably want to convert it into a career. You will probably need a PR agency to bring in engagements, etc. You can hire. In terms of writing the book, you're writing it yourself. When it comes to proofreading and all, you can hire resources who will be doing it for you. Deep talked about creating that product and engineering product by itself. He has done his research groundwork and he can now decide, okay, I don't have the engineering background, maybe I'm not an engineer who is going to sit and design the product. So let me hire that. Let me focus on the business side of it. How do I make it feasible? How do I ensure that I'm selling in enough large numbers so that I can sell it at a lower price, and so on and so forth. So you will have to decide what parts you do, what resources you hire, whose help you take, whose guidance. Do you want a trainer, mentor, or a guide? Right? The difference between a trainer comes in, gives you a skill set which you need and goes away. Right? Sometimes you need that. A mentor is somebody who has been there, done that. So that person is guiding you on by referencing their own journey. Not 100% copy paste for you. Your journey can be different, but you get a rough cut journey which you could possibly take. Evaluate yourself and do it. Or you could even reference a coach who is asking you the right questions, who is guiding you towards achieving your goals. This coach may or may not have done the same thing. Like you want to write a book, your coach may or may not have written a book. Your mentor definitely should have written the book so that he can guide you in writing the book. Similarly, public speaking and creating a value product. Right? So this is all, and see, this is still the groundwork we are doing. This is about creating a robust plan which has got the people, resources, timelines, activity list, and then creating a week level, if not a daily plan of what you. So your project plan will chunk down to week level, that in every week you are supposed to accomplish a little bit, right? And then you have your dedicated time to accomplish that. It can be once in a week or it could be a daily basis. There will be a lot of small tasks which you can spread over the entire week. If it's about connecting people, finding information, researching the topic, or just looking for opportunities, it could be very well done all through the week. And then over the weekends, if it's a personal project, you could have a good dedicated time to actually improve or work on it. Okay. The other part is, of course, you've got a plan, you've got the why together, and then is also the mindset which you need to have on a continuous basis. Right? The positive mindset of reminding yourself the why and the impact, so that you're not anywhere close to the zone where you feel that it's not working and you would rather quit this. Extremely important. Which is where, when you are talking of people who help you in the journey, right? We had this talk from a very functional perspective: a mentor, a coach, a trainer, people who help you achieve it. You also need one class of people there who are not going to help you directly in your goals. They are there simply to motivate you. They are the ones with whom you can share your dream and they can feel for you. It could be your spouse, it could be your best friend. It could be one of your managers with whom you had a great relationship. Right? You're not expecting a direct help in the project, in the goal from them. But they should be able to appreciate why it is important to you to achieve it. So that they are constantly talking to you about it and you are constantly talking to them about it. Just sharing, oh, I made this progress, I did this, I tried to do this, but it did not work, and so on and so forth. And they are there to bolster you up whenever you are feeling demotivated. If you have not talked to them for 2 weeks and 2 weeks, suddenly this person asks you, oh, so what progress you have made? And you say, oh, nah, nothing. Last 2 weeks, I did nothing on the project. These are the people you give a right to reprimand you, to scold you, to kick your butt if you're not making progress towards your goal. Right? Now, all these people that you have listed down who will help you achieve the progress, It cannot be a mystery to them. You have to explicitly have a conversation with them that I have this goal and I want your help, and this is your role. Whether it's a mentor, whether it's a specific help in the project, or even if it's just a motivator, they need to know that they have a role to play and you give them the right to play the role. And this giving the right is most important for the motivator, because they need to know that they can scold you for it. Right? Otherwise, they don't want to risk the relationship, right? Suddenly you start scolding a friend, the friend may take offense. You are doing it out of the goodness of your heart so that the person achieves their goal, and that person, like, I shared my goal with that person and that person is scolding me. No, you give them the right to do it and then have the heart to accept it also. Take that kicking from that person when you are not doing what you're supposed to do. And this is very important. This is something which a lot of people miss out on. Having this person who will be able to motivate you when you are not feeling motivated. Right? So there is this very nice definition of commitment that I'd seen. And it stuck with me. So commitment is the drive to continue doing what you promised to do, even when you are no longer in the mood when you promised. Right? When you're setting goals, you're all excited. You have this whole energy surging inside you, and you create those goals and you build those plans and you make the commitment to it. And then after some time, that energy dissipates. The motivation levels go down. You're not the same energetic person, or that passion also like kind of begins to slow down. But continuing with the plan, still being committed to the work, that's commitment. You need a person who can challenge you on that commitment and keep you tied to that path. So this person is very important. It could be one person, it could be multiple. But this is an important part of your planning, to identify those people, talk to them and tell them. Right? Another thing which you do is, if it's not, of course, a big secret, talk a lot about your goal. As many people as possible should know that you're working on this goal. It works both ways. One is you are almost pressurizing yourself into achieving the goal now that so many people know about the goal. I've told many people that I am going to write a book this year. Short book, not a very long one, because I know I've been trying for the last 1 year and I am being very lazy about it. Right? So I'm like, this is now putting a gun to my head. I've told people I'm going to do this. These workshops, I was delaying these workshops for quite some time. Let me get the design in proper shape. Let me put it down on paper, what will be the structure of the workshop. And I've been thinking like this since January. We are in the last quarter. So last month I decided enough doing that. I need to do this. So I wrote on LinkedIn that I am going to conduct these sessions in September, October, November. So now I've made a public commitment to doing it. Now my credibility is at stake. Right? So sometimes the nice motivations, sometimes a very harsh way of motivating yourself into committing action, whatever works. Right? Sometimes you will be motivated by the impact which achieving your dreams will have on your life. Sometimes you will be motivated by the impact on your life if you did not achieve the goals. Right? Insurance is sold by insurance agents telling you, what if you die tomorrow? Right? That's one way of preparing you. Right? So it both ways. Whichever works for you at whichever time, you should have both the tools available to you. Right? See, what we are trying to do is, while we were motivated to achieve our goals, we are trying to create an environment which is supportive, or which is pushing us towards achieving our goals. Sometimes you may not like it. Sometimes you may not like people pushing you for achieving your own goals. but carry on. They are there as reminders. They have, it's out of the goodness of the heart. They feel for you, and that's why they are pushing you for it. Otherwise, who cares about your goals except you? Sometimes even you don't care about your own goals. So we ensure that the goal is being cared for by yourself as well as others. Right? Okay. Now let's talk about something which is your mood. Sometimes we are in good mood, sometimes we are not. So when is it more likely that you will be working on your goals? When you are in good mood or when you are not?
It
When will you be
doesn't
working on your goals?
it doesn't matter. You have to work both the ways. I mean, both the times. If you're putting something, it doesn't matter. End of the day,
I
value
agree.
setting
That's the
is
ideal state. Practically speaking, what is going to happen?
practically you when you are in a good mood. Normally, you tend to work more.
Exactly. In general, in life, which is more, good mood or bad mood? Or sometimes you're just feeling dull. Today is a very dull day, right? Now, the thing is, it's very natural to work towards what you want when your mood is good. But at the same time, the good mood is a rare commodity, right? It's not every day throughout the day that you are in a good mood or in a great mood to work on your projects. You are all charged up and so on and so forth. Now you can't leave your goals to a chance like this. So you'll have to work on this part. That mood, that mindset, that frame of mind, that state of mind to work on your goals. And and you approach it from two angles. One is actually improving your mood. Two, forcing yourself to work to get into the mood. So forcing yourself to work is a matter of habit and structure in the day that okay, just like Ristos said, 6:30 in the morning, 90 minutes I write every day. You may get up with a good mood, bad mood, whatever, but you start writing and you get into the zone of writing. You get into the mood of writing. You come into that state of writing, and then everything else doesn't matter for those 90 minutes. It's like meditation, right? Meditation is often said, empty your mind, or sometimes just focus on one thing, or let your thoughts flow without holding on to it or stopping them. So when you get into the flow of writing, you're just focusing on writing. You're no longer disturbed by other thoughts. But to begin writing, that's the challenge because you are like disturbed because of certain things. You're not in the great mood. But stick to the structure, stick to the habit, and start writing or start doing that, the thing you want to do, and you will get into the zone. The other is, of course, use some of your happiest memories to get into the zone. I'm sure you have got some happy memories of your life. Pick up the happiest memory, make it into a movie, a proper Hollywood movie. It could be 5 minutes long, it could be 3 minutes long. Why I say convert it into a movie is I'm not just thinking about the best moment of life. I have to relive that moment with all my senses. So when I close my eyes, I should be able to see it, hear it, feel it, taste it, right? All my senses need to be in that moment so that I can feel as happy I was in that moment or as charged up as I want in that moment. It could be anything. Like I have this incident from my life where I was on stage. I managed to give a good performance. I forgot my dialogues. So somebody from the audience commented, and I just went extempore and said a few things for the next 5 minutes. Situation well managed. When I walked down the stage, not only did I get a standing ovation, but as I walked through the center aisle, every person was like patting my back, like, great job done, Hemant. Way back in time. This is like more than 24 years ago. But that's a great moment of my life. When I think of that moment, in that moment, I was like, I can do anything. I can do anything. That's the thought process in my head at that point in time. When I think of that moment, when I close my eyes, I find myself in the same St. Andrews Auditorium of Bandra in Mumbai, walking down that stage, walking through that crowd, and everybody patting my back, seeing those faces. I'm all charged up once again. So, irrespective of the mood, as long as I can be aware that I am not in a great mood and take action on it, of remembering that moment and reliving that moment, I can charge myself up to get back into the mood of doing things. It's a life hack, if you want to call it, can be applied to, in general, your mood over the weekends. If you're just feeling groggy and your family is expecting you to be all lively, or you want to get into an activity and you're not feeling up to the mood and you just want to charge yourself up. It can be your happiest moment, or it can be a moment where you felt top of the world and that you can do anything. So it takes a few minutes, but you have to build that movie first. That memory could have been from 5 years ago, or could be 20 years ago, and it's just a faint memory. You need to make a Hollywood production, Dolby Digital if you want, so that you can relive that moment. That's the important part. You have to be in that moment to charge yourself up very quickly. Right? May take some time initially, but as you use it, you will be able to do it much faster. Great. So it's about getting into that mindset. Okay. If it, for three of you, Risto, Roji, Rashmi, you're already started the journey. But Shiju, Deepak, if it's something that you need to start working on, kick it off. You've done the planning, you have been thinking about it, it's been part of the plans. You really need to start taking action on it. Often that is also like that initial inertia of just taking the first step. That's often a big hurdle. You need to cross that. Then things will begin to flow. Fast, slow, whatever be the pace, things will begin moving. But you need to start. So in your case, Deepak, you have this product in your mind. What are you doing about it, or what have you done about it? That's going to be important. Are you going to be able to speak now?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I brought in my laptop.
Fantastic. Okay.
Okay, the thing is, I'm already started making a plan, because for me to get it into, going live with my product, there is a 25-step process that I need to follow. I mean, it starts with, idea generation. I mean, I have an idea. So comes with a POC, then there's a huge 25 different steps, I mean, which I need to put into place. I need to think about them, and within those 25 steps, there are further sub-steps that need to be done. So if I take totally in all, it should be anything about 70 to 80 different steps that I need to do before I can even, say, okay, this product is ready for launch. So it's it's legal, technical. I need to do a lot of background work, or which channel. I mean, it's not just for me that I'm looking at. Okay, for me, I can do it. I mean, it's just 5-minute job. I know the manufacturer. I just pick up the phone, talk to him, and get something that I want to do. It's finished. But when I'm thinking of launching something, there are about 70 to 20 steps that I need to get into.
Yeah. Deepak has done a lot of projects, so he's always into that project management mode. And the project, this will have its milestone, even timed off. Okay, I'm back. This time I got disconnected. Okay, so as I said, Deepak thinks in terms of the whole project plan. Like, he knows what are the steps, he has a timeline to it. Have you started taking action on it, Deepak? Or it is still in here?
I already started working on it. There are certain brief which I have to do. So basically, I mean, just to give an idea, my whole plan was to work out of China. But then now China, I mean, the areas that I need to, the factories are facing some challenges because of the zero COVID policy. So now working on alternate sourcing. In the meanwhile, then you need to work with the import, into India here. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. So work has started on the legal front. And when you're doing all these things, then you start with the company registration. So there are multiple steps. So in most of the steps, it's like one step at a time.
Right.
But the biggest one, which is my
and
business model canvas, is still pending. that's a still big one which is still pending, and that's going to take the most amount of time and effort.
Great. Let's use this as an example. Why it is pending?
Sorry.
Why it is pending?
I've just okay. If you remember, after our talks, after we met last week, it's only then that I started really working on this. When we met last week, I said, so it's just that I started. So what I've done so far is basically working really on a fast mode, trying to put in things into place.
Right. You will be able to do it all by yourself, or you need help?
No, already. I mean, like my sister is basically working with me. So basically, we are going to co-found this company. So we're working on that together. I mean, it's not going to be happening to alone. It's not a possibility. And then what else done is, since it's more like there are certain areas where I am not the expert in. So so all those already started connecting with my friends who are from the industry, because I have come from electronics background. So I've got friends who are in this industry. So connected with them, started connecting with them, started talking to them, understanding what's the current. Because I have something in my mind, but maybe it's not the actual what is happening as of now. Things are changing. So yes, right. So what's the current scenario that's happening? So everything is being put into place.
Absolutely. And this also brings us to the two final things which I want to talk about. One is asking for help. We have discussed this over a period of time, like during the session also, that creating that list of people who can help you. But asking for help is a big thing. For most people, they hesitate. And the hesitation comes from many places. Like, how can I ask? What will the person think? Oh, the people are busy. Like the CEO case which I mentioned. CEOs are always busy. Right? So the common, for my friend, it was like, the CEO doesn't have time for me to guide me. He said, at least ask. You will know for sure whether he has the time or not. And when he came back, he was so open to talking about it, and he was himself suggesting extra time every month that he could spend with me. I said yes, because most of the guys who are out there are happy to help. They're just waiting for somebody to ask for it. Right? It is we who hesitate asking for help. Help could be in any form. It could be guidance, it could be specific piece of information, a specific task to be done. It could be absolutely anything, but you got to ask. Right? For any area where you need help, you could start building a list of people who can help you. That list could be 2 people long, it could be 10 people long. I was once addressing students here in Sharjah, and I said, create a list of 10 people who can help you with it and ask them. And one of the students said, no, people may not be helpful. I said, yes, it can be, which is why you need the list of 10 people. You probably need help from only one person, but ask 10. You might get a yes from one person, you might get a yes from 2-3 people. He said, what if all 10 people refuse? I said, simple, create another list of 10. There is no dearth of people out there who can help you. It's about figuring out and keep asking for help. You will get it. Because genuinely there are people who will be happy to help. It's in a way, people feel important when you ask them for help. People feel good if you ask their help, right? Give them that and they will help you. So it's about asking for help. And the most important thing about achieving your long-term goals, anything more than 6 months, 1 year, if the goals are at that distant point, one of the most important things is going to be keeping at it. Very long-term goals are going to give you results after a very long time. Those milestones and those mini milestones are there to give you that sense of accomplishment and progress. But it is extremely important to just show up and work on those goals on a daily basis. And I mean daily basis. So while we were talking about that every week you should have those mini activities or tasks that you are doing so that you can check on a weekly basis if you have made progress, spread it out over the week. And which is why I talked about at a small task level, it's about calling people, asking for help, researching something. Do something on a daily basis. Don't be out of touch of your goals even for a single day. Keep that fire burning on a daily basis, right? You will be able to do that for some of your big goals, not for every goal. For all the other smaller goals, stick to the weekly period. That every week you need to move towards the goal, right? You may have anywhere from 5 to 50 goals in your life. You will also have to project plan them that, okay, now I'm going to work on these 5 or 6 or maybe 10. The others I can work on after 6 months or 9 months or 1 year. You can't be working on 50 goals at the same time. You just don't have the bandwidth for it. So it's not about creating a project plan for one goal. It is about creating a project plan taking into account all your goals, keeping in constraints the other things in life. You've got work, you've got other duties. So it's about taking all that into account and trying to fit it into a timeline. Organizations call it a roadmap. They will have an IT roadmap that we have got these 5 different solutions to implement. Let me do this first. After having crossed half the journey, when this project goes on autopilot, then I can focus on this other project and it will go. And then, of course, these two have interdependencies. So I'll plan them together so that they go live together. These two solutions are ready by this time when I can implement them in the various parts of the business. So a roadmap is created like that. You need to have that roadmap thinking for your different goals. What we have discussed is just focused on one goal and prepare you for it. But that kind of work you will need to do with all your goals. Some of your goals will be smaller, easier to work on. The plan will be short. Some could be much longer, anywhere in between 1 year to a few years. Deepak, what's the timeline for getting your product?
Normally it takes about 7 to 8 months minimum. Minimum 7 to 8 months.
Okay.
I mean, it may be even longer considering the scenario. No? So basically 8 months to a year is what I'm looking at. Next year, September, October is where I'm looking at it.
Right. So in a year, we would probably have Rishto's book completed, ready with publishers evaluating it for publishing, right? So the book is complete. Deepak's audio equipment is out. Roji and Rashmi have probably delivered their first view public speaking engagements in front of a crowd, not the Toastmasters variety, but somewhere where you have been invited to speak. Right? Is it realistic to think of that? Now you need to put these specific tasks. For example, I mean, just again drawing that example where I reached out to the school that I want to conduct a session. Right? This is still not me getting invited, but this is one step towards that. That today I start approaching institutes that, oh, I want to speak. And I think, okay, let's give this guy a chance. Maybe we get something out of it. And I'm able to deliver it and I do it in a spectacular manner or I fail. Either way. If I do it in a spectacular manner, they will invite me for more sessions. That's a first win. But then they talk about it, the principal or the vice principal, or the teachers talk about it to other teachers in other institutes, and they invite me where I did nothing to go there. Like I did not approach them. I get invited. Now that's a major milestone covered. Those teachers talking with their spouses that, oh, we had this great session today. And those spouses working in some corporate organization thinks, oh, that's an interesting session we could have in our organization. Let me call him for my team of 5 people or 10 people or 20 people. And I go there and conduct this session. And he says, oh, really good session. I should be calling you for a larger event in my organization. See, one thing leads to the other. I'm just speculating. This is all dreams, right? I'll have to put a plan to it. The plan was, of course, the first step to the plan was approaching the schools. Maybe it doesn't work. So I'll have to approach some other schools or other institutes or other colleges, other organizations, right? Me delivering this session today, 6 of you in 6 different places, working with different organizations or different associations. So I've spread my word to 6 people. People who will see the recording, they find it interesting. Now they know my intent of going out and speaking. If they have an opportunity in mind, they might think about me. See, it's again going back to more and more people should know your goal. You never know who will come and help you. So while you prepare your list of people who can help you, there is an entire world out there who could possibly help you. Give them that opportunity. Create those opportunities. Okay.
Can I have a word
Coming to
about
the last
asking help?
part, yes.
Because
Yes,
as you
Risto,
said,
sure.
make a list of 10 people, and if nobody will help you, make another list. I would say if nobody out of those 10 will help you, you've done something wrong. And I was thinking that I get very strange questions asking very strange how do you call it in English? People ask help in a very diffuse way. So when you ask help, I think you have to be very specific. A single thing, can you help me in this issue? It's not how can I work in Europe, for example, which is maybe the most asked question in LinkedIn for me. Then you have limited so that it's about let's say I'm trying to find out this kind of information. Can you help me? Then you have to do your homework. So what have you done before asking me? And this is an interesting issue because when I ask, okay, you are asking me help, what have you done yourself? Well, actually nothing. And that's not a very good starting point. And the last thing was that it should be relevant for me, so that it is an issue that I know something about. It's somebody says, okay, I'm an engineer and I want to come to work in Finland. Where I can find a job? And I said, I don't know, because I'm not an engineer and I'm not in that industry. But if you ask me about coaching or career transitions or change management or something like that, there are my special knowledge. So that was one thing I wanted to say, that it's not about who you ask, but it's also how you ask and what you ask.
Absolutely, absolutely. That homework definitely is required, and which goes into building the list. And when I said you have your SMART goals, and then
Yeah.
your milestones also need to be tasked. Every activity under it will have to be spark. It will have to be specific.
Yeah.
You need to know how you have achieved it, whether you have achieved it or not, which makes it measurable,
Yeah.
and so on. So see, it's every time if you sit and ask for every step, what is specific, what is measurable, what is achievable, realistic, it may not work that way.
Yeah.
Right? You may not get specific answers, but it is that mindset or is that way of thinking required that everything I do needs to be very, very specific and clear when I tell someone else. for help, the person should clearly understand what is expected, right? So that way it will be useful and it will be giving you results also. Great. Okay, I'm
Yep.
still here. Can you hear me? My Zoom was telling me I've got bad connection today. Okay, so we come to one of those very key ingredients, again, often overlooked ingredient of achieving goals, which is celebrations. And I don't mean celebrations once you have achieved the goals. Too late, too little. You need to celebrate every milestone. Heck, even every mini milestone that you achieve, celebrate it. And it need not be a grand celebration for those mini milestones and milestones. It can be small. If I had this goal of connecting with a person and having a conversation and asking for help, and then of course getting help, accomplishing the first three of asking till the point of reaching of asking for help is a goal achieved in itself. The last part, getting the help, is of course in the hands of the people. So now once I've achieved this thing, can I treat myself to a piece of cake, a chocolate, or some fun thing that I would like to do to reward myself that I've done something? It's celebrating success of implementing something, right? Getting an action done, completed. In Toastmasters, when you have worked and prepared towards delivering a speech and you deliver it well, good, up to your satisfaction, and you get a feedback on it with some points of improvements, of course. Are you rewarding yourself for that success achieved? And then take it forward from there, right? Every step of the way, if you're not celebrating, you are creating a very long and boring journey, unless the act of working on the project itself is self-rewarding, right? If writing is your passion and you're writing the book, the act of writing itself is your reward at times, right? But you still need something to keep going. Oh, one chapter completed. Now what are you going to do to reward yourself? It could be anything. You have to find your own rewards. What makes you happy? What will make you feel that you have rewarded yourself for doing something? And this is important because our goals don't happen in a short time. We've just discussed most of our goals are looking at a 6 months to 1 year timeline. So are you going to reward yourself only once you have achieved it? No. Constantly keep yourself motivated by rewarding it. In the projects where I have been, where I was the change manager, I would often tell the project managers that we need to celebrate the milestones, not the go live. The go live will come after a couple of years. There are so many people who are contributing to this project in direct as well as indirect ways. We need to recognize their contribution. Let's bring together people and celebrate the success of this milestone. People should feel that they have contributed towards something and it has become a success. The same applies to you also. When you work through your milestones, you should reward yourself for the success. You should recognize the success by celebrating it. Celebrate alone or with someone. Remember, you had a whole list of people, and one of them was your motivator, the person who may or may not directly help you, but is always there to bolster you up. You could celebrate with them, you could celebrate with your spouse, you could celebrate with your mentor. That in this journey, you guided me and I have achieved this one major milestone. Right? But celebrate. Find your ways of doing it. Extremely important to keep going, and it's about re-energizing your journey. Right? Every milestone comes with effort, and efforts can tire you out. That celebration is to re-energize yourself also. Right? Small wins, big wins, unexpected wins, celebrate. Tie all these things together: the plan, the motivation, the resourcing, the project plan, a daily habit of working on your goals, and of course, celebrating, never hesitating to ask. You put all of that together behind that goal that you have, behind that dream that you have, that desire, that want in your life that you have. And you can literally become a very, very unstoppable force working towards that goal. With all this working towards that goal, it is very difficult to either slow down or even let go. Because you are holding yourself accountable. You have got people who are holding you accountable for your dream. There are people who are asking you at regular intervals, oh, what happened on you are working on this? It's not great to say, oh, I let it go. It'll keep you going. Right? So that was the last ingredient I wanted to add for achieving the goals. Now it's actually open to all of you for both questions, if you have any, as well as any additional ingredients that you want to add. Like Risto has added quite a few ingredients from his own experience into this session. Thank you very much for coming in and contributing as well as taking something away from here. Each one of you, by way of sharing your own experiences, have added to it. Something beyond what we have already discussed that can help us achieve goals. The floor is open.
Yeah, I just want to share something so that I get guidance from each one of you. For example, when I had this thought of becoming a motivational speaker or public speaker, this is way back in 2019. I think I got the seed by 2017, 2018. But in 2019, I started, giving the fertilizers for that seed. And after 30 years, I visited my school. So one of the attendant who used to be there when I was doing my schooling, she was so happy to see me. And then she said, why don't you come and do a speech next day? I hadn't joined Toastmasters. I didn't have any such idea in my mind. But she just asked me, see, the way you are talking about the school, the most of the children are today are lacking about that passion. So come and just render your speech as such. I was really taken aback, and then I had very less time. So in my mind, I was thinking, yes, now I had to do something in public speaking. That's when that a small twig appeared. I mean, a branch appeared. I want to do something in public speaking, and let me be somebody. No, I didn't want to be there as a legal professional. I wanted to be as a motivator or as a public speaker and be there. This thought came into my mind. I wanted to be somebody and speak there. So that the children see that, yes, after going through such a long period of corporate world, she stepped from it, took a sabbatical, she transformed her perspective and found her purpose. And now she is here so that I am a success story before the kids. But now what I'm seeing myself is that I am only halfway. Just the twigs and branches are coming. The flowering part has not been there. So I'm just working towards the blooming part of those flowers and fruits. So if I go back to now, even if next month, if I'm going back to India, I might go to the school and deliver a speech because of the Toastmasters help as such. I'm so grateful for that platform. I'm not waiting to be a success to go and speak. But still, on a bigger picture, I wanted to show that I created this vision board and I've successfully reached where I want to be. So
Yes.
how do I look to that period and how do I work towards that? That is my whole question before me.
Yes.
How can you all help?
And we have discussed it. The plan, people, resources, put together
Correct.
everything. And it's
Yes.
extremely important not just to have all those things floating in your head, but to actually put it down on paper. Because then the plan becomes real, everything becomes real. Like the
Correct.
incident which you relate, I had a similar experience. So way back in time, after going through my engineering, I joined an IT company. 2001 IT bubble burst, lost my job, got into training, and I started conducting training programs. One of them was speed mathematics, Vedic mathematics, and I was teaching kids. One day I'm visiting my engineering college and I'm telling my placement officer that, oh, this is what I've been doing. So interesting times. And he said, oh, you're doing Vedic mathematics. I said, yes. Why don't you address our professors, all teachers? Within 1 week, he arranged a session where I was talking to 80 of the staff members of the institute, engineering institute, talking about Vedic mathematics, how it works in some part, and what is the effect of it on people's minds and how they become sharper and so on and so forth. Right? It was again, that was the first time I was addressing an adult crowd on that subject. I said, oh, I can do that also. Then I got, of course, other opportunities of a coaching class inviting me to address its teachers as well as students and so on and so forth. So sometimes when you just start talking about it, and this is how you, again, it comes to the same thing. You start telling people your goals and people will find opportunities for you, even when you're not asking for it. So great. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank
Deepak,
you.
Risto, Rashmi, anything you would like to share?
So one thing that needs to be, I mean, basically what, basis of my professional life or personal life, one thing that we need to be very clear, sometimes the goals are unrealistic or they may not be in sync with what we want to do. We should be able to move
Right.
on. It should not be an egoistic thing saying, okay, I have set a goal for myself and I need to do it. If you feel it's not
Right.
the goal that's right for you, move out. Maybe maybe something else is better for you. So that's something which I think we should be always, because otherwise what happens is we get into this, when I goal set, Risto is here, I forgot. We decide that this is a goal that I want to do and get into it, whether not knowing whether we can succeed or not. And in case we find it a challenge or it's a challenge which is too big a challenge, we need to learn to either, give a good shot. If it's not happening, move out, do something else, not waste further time on it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it ties down to one, your why. Why do I want to achieve this goal? That's important and constantly reminds you it, because there will be times when goals will seem difficult. You will face some very unsurmountable issues or problems and you're like struggling with them. At which point it is easy to give up also. Go back to your why. If that why is strong enough, you will persist. Or if you feel that it is better, as you said, to let the goal go or give it to somebody else can chase it, then you let it go. But you have to be very realistic about it, right? Don't be scared at the first signs of a huge issue which you are facing, but at the same time be realistic that you don't spend too much time on it and end up in a space where you spent a lot of time and did not get anything out of it, right? The achievement of the goal or the journey itself should be very rewarding. It cannot just become a painful journey that you're going through. Okay, so that way you have to be very realistic. Nicely pointed out. Great.
I have to leave in a moment, so thank you very much, and we'll be in touch. Okay.
Thank you, Risto. Thank you for coming.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day. Have a nice
Have a
weekend.
nice day.
Yes. So anyway, we have come to the conclusion of our session, and as I said, this was open to concluding remarks by all of you. So anything to add on the subject?
I want to thank you, Hemant, because two things. One, I have been motivating a number of people. Now, today I realized I don't have anyone at my back to motivate me. So I have been, I think my energy is being drained, but for me to get motivated, yes, I need to have a few people. I have never had, my mentor, of course, yes, she's there, but that's related to my Toastmasters journey. But related to my personal goals, I've never discussed much on that. And to have a class of people, that's one big takeaway I'll take from this side. And yes, and regarding celebration, I do celebrate. Since last 1 year, I've been celebrating on all the speech weddings and all such things. So thank you so much. I'll do
Fantastic.
it more again.
Great, fantastic. No, it's important that, and what you said is right. Like you motivate people that somebody needs to motivate. Like in the coaching world, we say even the coach needs a coach.
Coach, correct.
Even a business coach needs a business coach because he is coaching people on running their businesses, but he has his own business to run, right? So even he needs a business coach. So
Correct.
similarly, a motivator also needs a motivator.
Finally, we
Great.
are all human
Thank you.
beings. We are all based on emotions. So we also need people. Yeah, correct.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great. Shiju, want to hear from you. How did you find the session?
Yes, it's
We still
fantastic.
don't know what your goal is.
No, actually, no. Actually, I'm just working on my communication. Like now, I know now I'm just reluctant to come to friend, to talk to people and all. That is my biggest. You don't understand because very well. By the time I'm just looking for to come ahead and to speak about a subject or anything. For that, I'm just in the budding stage only. So that I'm really shy of come to crowd and just share all these things. But your section is really motivating, and I mean, it's scientific, and moreover, it's useful also. Like in a step by step, you are correlating things, and when there is this thing, and you are identifying the issues, and you are pinpointing your answers correctly to the other participants also. It's a fantastic section. And thanks for your time and being with us, and giving me a lot of information on this, because tiny things now that makes big changes. Then we are
Right.
doing on a daily basis that make changes in our life.
Thank you, Shiju. Thank you. So one question you said about you talked about being shy in terms of your communication. So is is it something that will be of value to you if you get the opportunities to speak in front of a few people?
Yeah, I
Is
always
that
try to be
important?
away from, because even though I have got certain ideas to be expressed, even though I have got the entire thing I can deliver to a particular matter, and I always try to be in the back end. I don't know why it is. Actually, I want to work on that and improve my communication. I just think that once I just work on my communication or my English and all, then after that I will come ahead and deliver a speech. Then I'm getting like it will take 2 hours my time to get in different section and do something.
Right. So I would actually strongly recommend the Toastmasters platform to you. Are you already a Toastmaster?
No, 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 no.
No. Then consider becoming a Toastmaster, because while Toastmasters is often seen as the platform to polish your public speaking skills and all, and when we people say public speaking, it's almost like, oh, standing on the stage and talking to a large crowd. No, it's not. It's about standing in front of a small crowd of 10 people and speaking as you do it in office. A lot
Correct,
of
correct.
people,
Mhm.
fantastic performers, they create great products or things, but they can't present it. And then somebody else ends up presenting it for them in office.
Mhm.
And as it happens, the person who presents it gets the credit also.
Mhm.
And the one who is shy and does not really come out saying, no, this is what I did and this is the thought process, and they're not able to effectively put it, they kind of remain as a backseat. So
Mhm.
even overcoming that, Toastmasters will definitely help you do that, because Toastmasters small group meetings anywhere in between 8 to 20 people, sometimes rarely, but sometimes 30 people in a room, and a very safe environment where you get an opportunity to speak. You come
Correct.
prepared with a speech and you deliver it, and there is somebody who gives you feedback on how do you make it better, how do you become a better speaker, and so on and so forth. And they will give you feedback on everything, the structure of your speech, the way you spoke, the way you stood, the way you presented yourself on the platform. It could be a physical meeting or it could be a Zoom meeting like this. Over the
Mhm.
past 2.5 years, we have been completely online. Now, a lot of clubs have moved to doing back to physical meetings in a room, sometimes with a stage, sometimes without a stage, right?
Mhm.
So, those possibilities are there and they definitely help you.
Mhm. Correct,
Right. So
correct.
consider joining a Toastmasters club. We can definitely connect offline, and I can give you more details on how to go about it. Attend a
Yeah,
few
yeah.
meetings, evaluate whether the platform is for you or not, and then decide where to join.
Correct, correct.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Rashmi, your experience from today's session.
It's a wonderful, of course, sir. And really, I have learned that always look opportunity to speak more and more wherever you can find it. In
Yes.
Toastmaster, really, we have like 10, 15, sometimes 20 people. And I became comfortable to speak over there. Like I have learned all the roles and techniques, getting evaluation also. So now I will search more opportunity to speak, and I will also, like you said, to keep on enjoying, keep on celebrate on all the rewards. So I will start and I will work on it. And third, I have learned that daily workout on your targets. Like I want to grow more and more on speaking. So really, I should find time to look a movie or a reading. So sometimes when I occupy with my stuffs, I don't focus. But now I will start working at least 10 minutes or 20 minutes every day. I will find to work on it.
See, I'll give you a very simple example in terms of even speaking, and it's about gaining that confidence of speaking, right? In Toastmasters, we have this beautiful thing called table topics, right? You're given a topic without preparation, you start
Yes.
speaking, and you have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes. right? It's a very interesting concept, Siju, because it's like taking you off guard and you are like jumping into the fire that, okay, I want to speak, now give me topic and I'll speak instantly on it without preparation. You don't have to wait for a Toastmasters meeting to do that, right? Your Toastmasters meetings happen once in 2 weeks, but you can do this daily basis in your comfort of your own home, right? If you have books lying around in the house, pick up a book, open up a random page, just point your finger at any sentence, read that sentence, and speak on that for 1 minute, 2 minutes. Pick up a book of quotes, right? Or just Google 50 quotes about leadership, about life, about happiness. Open that page and put your finger on that page anywhere and pick up that quote and speak on it. It's about speaking on a new topic, right? If speaking is what you want to do that in the comfort of your own home without an audience, right? With audience, you are anyway doing it in Toast. But and that's where the daily thing comes into place. Every day I need to do something to keep moving in that direction, to hone my skill, to improve a little bit, and so on and so forth. And when you're doing it, record yourself. Right? Record yourself giving that short speech so that you can evaluate yourself, because you can. When you see yourself speech, you can be far more brutal than any other person. Right? You can evaluate yourself and criticize yourself in a much better way. Others are still trying to sugarcoat and not hurt you. You can be far more liberal with yourself. Right? Deepak.
Yeah. Final thoughts is that I whole process is going to be has to be much more faster, because now, like I said, even if I've given myself 1 year, I would say it's a too short a timeline. So I need to do quite a bit of it quickly, and I need to put in. I mean, like you said, I was delaying it. I mean, this seed has been there for the last 20 years. You know, I mean, but then I always had an excuse why I couldn't do it, and a valid excuse why I couldn't do it. But now, like I said,
we are good at valid excuses.
So now is the time which I said, you know, and like you said, now since I put it in public, I need to do it.
Yes,
so far,
yes.
it's only between a few people that I've been talking about. Now you are the first outside of family who comes to know about it.
Yes. So and it needs to be realistic. The plan also, we can think, we can dream that it becomes faster and so on, but it has to be realistic. Right? Some things will be in your control, some things will be beyond. How do you speed up those individual segments? That's another thought process. Do you need help? Can you bring
definitely.
in? Yeah, I mean, as you said, a co-founder. So there's someone else who is sharing the load of the thinking. So, okay, you focus on this area, I'll focus on that, and so on and so forth. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Absolutely great. That brings us to the end of our goal achieving sessions. Here, wishing you a lot of luck in achieving your goals. So it was personally great having this conversation. So we can call it a workshop and all, but what we were having is a nice conversation on how do we go about achieving goals. I was not the only trainer in the room. Each one of you contributed by way of your own experiences and thoughts. Gentleman has left, the man who's writing the book, but he has got his own ample experience which he could share with us, and that was good to have him in the room. So as with all of you, and thank you very much for coming. I'll come and stop the recording now.
The most important thing, Hemant, you achieved the goal through this live workshop of putting the second workshop, right? So that itself is a live demo of that.